Hi, welcome to Fearless Feet, where I kind of share with you a bit of a mixture of my desires and my fears, and sometimes a little bit about sailing. A lot of people ask us about selling the house and was that a wise decision, and leaving our jobs and the financial security and a job that I absolutely undoubtedly adored. So I thought we would just discuss that. So, being really honest, when we moved on board Sandpiper, which would be Easter 17, we hadn't really created the dream at that stage. We knew we wanted to sail, but we didn't know we wanted to be full-time sailors. So we moved on board in Easter 17, which was the start of this whole process of selling a house. Primarily we moved on board because we loved our weekends, and whilst we loved our jobs, the weekends were what we lived for. And we used to get home at 4 o'clock on a Friday, pack, get to Sandpiper, unpack, usually have to deal with a leak because that's what happens on boats. It certainly did on Sandpiper. Deal with the leak, dry the bed in, settle, do a day's sailing on the Saturday, and then the Sunday felt like a bit of a downer really, because we knew we were going to have to go back, so we had to pack again, and then we had an hour's journey back home, and then we'd unpack, and then we'd get into a world of work again. And so Sundays never felt that good really. So what we decided to do was we would move on board Sandpiper and we'd travel back and forward to work, which was an hour each way. But we'd feel like we'd never left our dream and our sailing community. So that's exactly what we did. So we moved on board and we had a lot of learnings about living on board 100% of the time. Most of which were washing takes so much longer, like 2 hours to do your washing, which is very different to living in a house. Actually having to get your shopping was fine, that was just the same. Tesco's was only down the road. But walking back to the boat with it when it's peeing down with rain isn't like unloading it from the back of your car at the house, which was like 3 steps. So yeah, so that was a bit different, and also kind of like we learnt to kind of monitor our electric use and our water usage, which you kind of take for granted in a house. So we learnt to do all of that, and living in such a small space was great. It was fine, it wasn't a problem, but we had a hell of a lot of spillages. It was just about getting accustomed to moving around when, we spilled a lot of red wine, to be honest. We don't seem to do that now, but we've kind of got used to living in that space, I suppose. And we loved it, absolutely loved it. Travelling back and forward to work, I actually learned to use that time to listen to loads of audiobooks and scare myself stupid about storms and stuff like that. Start to learn Spanish. So actually it was a good use of time, and it meant that I'd unpacked work by the time I got home, which was a huge advantage, to be honest. And it gave me a little time to plan for the day ahead. So actually the hour that I had to travel to work and the hour that I had to travel back became really useful time, and I didn't mind it at all. But after sort of a couple of years of doing that, then somehow we'd kind of worked out that actually we had a dream to do more than just sail a boat at a weekend, but actually what we wanted to do was to have a simpler lifestyle, to change to change what we wanted, to be honest, and not just to have the material things that you seem to accumulate when you're in a 9 to 5 job, and kind of wanted to give all of that up and sail the oceans, which was a bit of a scary thought, but to do that we needed to decide what to do with the house, and we hadn't lived in it for 2 years, so we'd certainly worked out we could live on board 24/7 and not kill each other. We'd also worked out that actually many of the material assets that we had in a house we didn't need, and we'd managed to live a much simpler life without the huge telly and without the luxurious sofas and without the many kitchen appliances. We'd managed to enjoy life without any of that. So we decided the time had come to sell the house. We decided not to rent, because if we rented we felt that we would have a responsibility that perhaps would mean that we needed to come back from wherever we managed to get to in our sailing journeys. Or we'd need to employ somebody else to do the maintenance, or we would be heavily reliant on our parents, and that wasn't fair. So we decided to sell. Not a particularly difficult thing. The sales process of selling a house is like selling a house at any time, but it probably was most difficult deciding what to do with the material things that we had. You know, what would we keep? What would we bring on board? What would we sell? Would we put it in storage? Well, we decided not to put it in storage, because every book that we'd ever read on that sort of thing said that we would come back at some point and wonder why on earth we paid to put it in storage. So we decided to be a little bit harsher than that, and to bring on board what we decided we would want on board, and to sell or gift the rest of the furnishings. We're coming from the trappings of a 3-bedroomed house. That's quite a lot of stuff, and the rooms downstairs were huge, so we suddenly realised that a lot of our furniture was too big for a lot of our friends' houses. It didn't sell particularly well, simply because of its size. So we ended up gifting what we could, selling with the house a lot of the furniture because it fit there, and they were upsizing, not downsizing, so that worked. And then we gave some to charity. It is quite hard to watch some of the things, you know, disappear down the street and you're saying goodbye to it. But 2 suitcases later, which we put on our son's loft, a few ornaments that we brought on board Sandpiper, 1 or 2 pictures, yeah, that's it. We sold the house without too much bother, so that was good. The house went through, and it certainly taught us that all of the things that we've bought in the past, actually, we didn't need. But you do that sort of thing. That's just what you do. So yeah, selling the house wasn't as difficult as you might think. There's a lot of memorabilia that you've got to go through, a lot of paperwork you've got to sort out. And we made a deal, me and Gary. So I would do the selling of the house and the kind of, everything that goes with that. And Gary would prepare the boat, and we set a date. So we set a date of the 6th of June 2020, and at which point we'd have a leaving party, and off we'd go into the sunset on Sandpiper. Didn't quite work out like that because of COVID, but we did set off. We set off in August, so it was only a little delayed. However, that meant Gary would get the boat ready, and then I would do the selling of the house. Thank God I had a friend to help me when it came to like emptying the garage and things like that. We hired a skip. God, how much did we put in the skip? Fiona was amazing, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But equally, somewhere in the middle of all this, in the midst of all of this, we also decided that we would need to give up our jobs. And my CEO at the time had said to me, if you ever leave, Tanya, you need to give us 12 months notice. And that was a Christmas kind of party thing, and I felt really guilty because I was like, oh my God, I think I am going to leave. And I know I don't need to give him 12 months notice, but being honest and being truthful is very much at Gary's core and at my core. So we made a decision that we would be upfront and honest about our dream, and we would tell our employers. And so we did. 18 months before our leave date, we actually told them of our intentions. They were amazing, and they gave us time to think it through. And if one of the things I've ever learned is actually saying something out loud makes it a commitment, but it also makes it real. And they were great in terms of saying, give it some thought before we make it public. We did give it some thought. We did experiment a little bit by sailing over to Spain just to see for like the big open ocean, which we loved, and it was amazing. So we tested it out, and our employers were great in giving us that luxury to do that. And then it came to giving up the job. The time went really quickly. I can't believe how quick 18 months went. But I think we made all of the right decisions, as difficult as some of them were. You do need to be brave, you do need to be courageous. And I'm not going to pretend any of those were easy, but they were all absolutely essential. If we were going to truly let go, put 4 feet in this cockpit and really commit to a new lifestyle. And I'm so pleased that we did, and I could only encourage other people, for whatever you want, it means you're going to have to let things go. It might not be to sail the oceans, it might be something very different, but you need to let go of some things to actually move forward. And I'm not going to pretend they were easy, but essential nonetheless. I'd love to show you around Sandpiper and let you see some of the things that Gary did, the hard work that he did over that period of time. And maybe you join us next time, and we'll take you around Sandpiper and let you have a look. Thanks for watching. If you like what you hear, then please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.